Hi, I'm Beverly Banor Brown, and today our topic on narcissistic relationships is part 5 of repetition compulsion. Today we're going to be focusing on the totally self-absorbed mate. So many of you have been writing to me in your emails. So many clients I've worked with over the years have been severely triggered by repetition compulsion, and specifically this topic, the totally self-absorbed mate. Have you ever been involved with somebody who is just completely almost fixated on how everything that happens in the universe seems to be all about him or her, as the case may be, so totally devoted, really, to making sure that their own needs are met, that they really have very little, if any, time left over to ever think about the needs of the people around them. And yet, being phenomenally fabulous actors, people who have many of the narcissistic traits, people who are energy vampires, who leave you feeling utterly drained and exhausted while you're in their presence, but especially after you've left their presence physically. The crazymakers overall, the drama queens, drama kings, they run the gamut in terms of severity. They run the gamut in terms of how the symptoms play out. Repetition compulsion, let me review for those of you who have not seen the other videos that I've done in this series, is a very, very potent wiring of the brain, literally, which can be changed, that's the good news, which has given the person a message, a wrong message in early childhood, sometimes as early as infancy, sometimes I believe even as early as the gestation period in your mother's womb. It's a Freudian term which refers to the ideas, the concepts, the messages, and then creating the belief system that basically says if you have somebody like your primary caregivers may have been acting out through either abandonment, through benign neglect, obvious neglect, various kinds of abuse, and overall lack of appropriate nurturing and closeness, eye contact, touch, holding, responding to the baby's needs, the toddler's requirements for quality time, for healthy foods, for being served at relatively regular intervals, for a sense of community, a sense of belonging. Very often a message is given and it gets wired into the brain that says basically, you don't matter, because if you mattered, we would have paid more attention to you. And that's our focus today. How does that play out in part 5 of this series, which is the totally self-absorbed mate? Why do you attract somebody who behaves in such a way that they're always checking their emails? They'd prefer to watch the football game. They'd prefer to clean out the garage or clean out the trunk of the car or do virtually anything else but really spend the quality time with you that in the beginning of the relationship they either implied strongly or they promised you faithfully and devotedly was going to happen, was going to be a reality, that you were going to ride off into the proverbial sunset and have an absolutely ecstatic future together in every shape and form, size and direction. Why does this happen? And why did you attract, if that's your situation, somebody who would basically ignore you so much of the time? And what is the lure, what is the trigger that often will keep you in that situation so much longer and so much more intensively than your reasonable, happy, conscious mind would dictate? If you've gotten the idea that you have to work hard to get even the slightest modicum of attention from a partner, from a friend, from a coworker, then when that when the person who you supposedly love most and supposedly loves you most starts pulling away, starts distancing, can you see where, because of repetition compulsion, there is a almost Pavlovian response of, oh, I must have done something wrong, or they'd be fully attentive to my needs, to my interests, they'd be polite, they'd be listening, they'd be concerned with whatever it is I want to share with them. They'd be wanting to share whatever's going on in their lives with me. And when it doesn't happen, the repetition compulsion makes you feel absolutely an urgency, a driven quality, a knee-jerk response that says if I jump a little higher, if I'm more charming, if I spruce up my hair, my makeup, my body so that I lose weight and have a better figure, or any number of other rationalizations and kind of bargains with life, they'll pay attention to me. What's really happening in repetition compulsion, dealing with that totally self-absorbed, unavailable, either physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, materially, and financially, mate, is that that person is just a stand-in. A stand-in. This is a critical point, so let me repeat it. Is he or she is a stand-in for the primary caregiver who you did not feel seen, accepted, and honored by. In this series on narcissistic relationships, and also the series I'm doing on Codependency Revealed, this subject repeats often. Why? Because this is, I believe, the critical, pivotal point mechanism in your healing process. Until this is understood and made conscious, very often you're at the effect of it. And sometimes I've worked with people in my work as an intuitive and as an intuitive life and relationship coach, a dating coach, a love mentor. I've worked with people who stayed in relationships for 20, 30, sometimes 40 or more years, always striving daily to really become a primary player again in that mate's life, because they have not understood until we work together, or until they work with someone else who understands the mechanisms of this and how to help heal it. They've stayed in these situations because they did not realize what was going on. How phenomenal that you've chosen to watch this video, that you found this video out of all the millions. Because it's your time, I believe, when you see something like this, to say, wait a minute, isn't there a better way? What else is possible here? What am I forgetting to remember? What do I need to make conscious? How can I work this through? And free myself from being triggered. How can I rewire my brain? How can I give new messages? How can, through neuroplasticity, I experience liberation from a compulsive behavior that does not serve me well, does not bring me happiness, does not contribute to my peace, does not honor all the beautiful things I am in this lifetime. Freud was a very, very complex man, and he was, I believe, a man of a fascinating ability to zero in at times on some of the darker aspects of child rearing, some of the darker aspects of the human psyche. I don't agree, however, with his kind of illness model. I have a wellness model. I have a holistic view that basically says once we know what's really going on, we can change it for the better. We can identify our many strengths and remarkable abilities and aptitudes, and we build on those. And through doing that, we create new thought processes, new attitudes, new core beliefs and values, and we start to really feel a sense of freedom. And then, if somebody has the audacity in their own misguided effort, in their own dysfunctional behavior, caused long before we met them, to be rude, to be so self-absorbed, to be so selfish, to lack empathy, to not be emotionally available, we say, wait a minute. Can I have compassion for this person? Yes. If they're willing to be getting professional help, am I willing to try that? Okay, possibly, if I really believe they're serious about positive change, not just yet another empty promise. Remember, always watch what people do. Don't just watch, or rather listen to what they say. A narcissist, an energy vampire, a crazymaker will say anything, just about, to get you to do what they want you to do. And if it's what they want for you to stick around, they will make incredibly charming and alluring promises. They will swear they've done the inner work, they've suddenly become deeply spiritual, they've suddenly had an awakening. Oh my God. The list goes, it seems, on infinitely. But what are they doing? Are they really willing to show up for appointments? Are they really willing to go to get some coaching? Are they really willing to take some responsibility when they break a promise, when they don't show up on time, when they cheat, when they're flirting with other people, when they're not paying bills they've agreed to pay, when they sometimes just simply ghost you, don't respond to letters, emails, phone calls? The list goes on and on, doesn't it? The stories I've heard, the emails I receive daily from literally now all over this globe with people describing these seemingly intractable, undeniably frustrating, and sometimes dangerous situations. I want better than that for all of us. And the great news is you can have better than that once you understand what you're really dealing with. And if this applies to you or someone close to you, please join my channel, subscribe, punch that little red button under the screen. It's free of charge. It's a growing and beautiful community of souls, really all over all the continents now of the earth. And the beautiful thing is that I see how you're answering each other's commentaries on the screen, and you're forming very interesting communities of your own, and you're taking this situation with all these narcissists and the codependents who have suffered for so long at the hands of people who really are not necessarily even willing to change or even willing to try. You're helping each other. So, this is a beautiful thing. I hope you'll be part of it. Please feel free to leave me a commentary, leave me a like if you've enjoyed or agree or even disagree with any part of this, if it's helped you to think about your other new options. And I consider it to be at least somewhat successful. All right then, what to do about it? That is the subject for another video, for another day. Stay tuned because it's on the way. I'm Beverly Banor Brown. It's been marvelous, as always, having the privilege of preparing this material for you. I pray that it will bless your life and all the people close to you as well. Because remember, every time we change for the better, it helps to raise the vibration for everyone. So it's not selfish to do this inner work. It's not selfish or self-absorbed. It's actually a huge blessing, a benevolent kind of divine order for everyone close to you and everyone close to them, because it fans out in an endless chain of goodwill. And don't we need that more and more on our beautiful Mother Earth? Until next time, many blessings and namaste. I bow to the light that is shining all the while in all of us.